Welcome everyone to the Satsang for the Swami. We dedicate this Satsang to his loving memory, Mr. Puri's loving memory, and to Great Master. I would like to point out that we just had the incredible conversation. We share very interesting stories. So sometimes it's worth it to join the live satsang for that reason, because we do not record everything we speak at the satsangs. We also do not post on YouTube everything we record. There's quite a large amount of recordings. We never post this because sometimes these satsangs take 7 hours. And I think the last one was a record, 8 or so. So those who join the satsangs, Ishvarpuri satsangs, they have at least a possibility of listening to some of the stories. You never know what is gonna happen in that sense. So today was really amazing. Raj sharing all this different information, and me and Grace will share some of the experience we had with Mr. Puri. So I would like to point out that I had some conversations with some different people around the world, and usually that is through WhatsApp, private conversations. People will contact me and they may have some questions. They're seeking some answers. So either through WhatsApp, and we start doing this through Zoom. So last conversation I had was through Zoom. And it was with Satsangi, someone initiated by Mr. Puri. I keep the names as private. These are private conversations, so I cannot share much about them. But there's a lot of questions people have, I noticed. It's been almost a year and a half since Mr. Puri left his physical form. Not quite a year and a half, but this is the time which usually many things get resolved in that sense. When perfectly living master dies, there's a lot of misunderstandings about what's going to happen. People have different ideas what's going to happen. What is the mode? What was the mode of the last master? What is the mode now? Who is the successor? Is the successor to the master? Is there someone who is taking care of that? Did Mr. Puri make those arrangements? So there's a lot of misunderstanding about that. And I do not go on the different forums. I understand there's like a 4 or so, I don't know exact number of forums. People will meet, share the stories, and so forth and so forth. I do not participate personally in that. There's someone also on the Facebook. I never did participate in any of that. I know Grace was invited once, the last time for the C shop. I never heard this what they organize. But they sent something like for 5 minutes you can speak about. So nevertheless, we never participate in that. So I do not follow on it. Once in a while, Grace has a Facebook. I'm not on a Facebook, by the way. If anybody, I get a lot of people trying to be a friend on the Facebook. I am not on the Facebook. Mr. Puri was not really, and I'm not on the Facebook. So if you're doing that, I won't be able to reply. I get this constantly. Some people I know, some people look like strangers. Sometimes I do recognize quite a few. So I'm not trying to be rude to anybody. Like I don't want to be a friend or Facebook friend, anything like that. It's just I do not have that set up. I'm not planning on to. My only contact, it's basically, I have some friends, Satsangi friends, they come over here. We've been visited by quite a few, at least like 13. You know, these are private visits, so I'm not going to be talking about. So we have people who were initiated by Mr. Puri visited us last year or so here in the house in Sedona, Arizona. But other than that, I cannot like reply to Facebook or anything like that. I do appreciate interest. So because I spoke privately to some satsangis and people have questions, and these are very specific questions, very serious questions. And these are the questions about initiation. Or what is initiation? The person may ask me, was I initiated? May think someone may think they were initiated. So these are very specific questions. Some of those questions also relates to what now? Someone will write, I get emails too. I'm in contact not just to Ishwar Purisantma, but I have people, I talk to people also. I'm not like a total hermit. What do? I most of them in the question kind of like, I see Mr. Puri's videos, YouTube videos, I feel pull to Mr. Puri. But then someone will say, I feel pulled to you. Me personally, to Cezary. And a lot of questions like that. I also been asked about these questions about initiations and so forth. This is a very serious subject, please understand. So I'm planning to address this a little bit. I am, to those who care to listen, those who imply or spoke to me, I am just the Savadar of my master. And my master in this life is Mr. Puri. So all my connection goes to him. But also my connection as the Savadar goes to the Great Master, Azur Baba Savan. I'm not saying this lightly because this is very serious. This is extremely serious. Many people take this lightly. They say, "Well, I'm this, I'm that." Many people already declared themselves successors even of Mr. Puri, starting like month after he passed away. Some of you know who they are. I know who they are. I know exactly who is who in that sense. You can be anywhere, India, US, Canada, Asia, Thailand, Singapore, London, anywhere, doesn't matter. To me, this is like an open book in that sense. But I'm trying to continue this satsang based on the last satsang I had. And we spoke at last satsang about responsibility. Anyone who make this type of claims to be the master. So sometimes I go through these forums. Sometimes I do, just to get the idea what people are talking about. So I went through one of these groups. I would just go like a few days, see what the moderator may be saying, or this person or that, just to get the idea. And there's a subject of Mr. Puri, in the sense that people will say that Mr. Puri did not left anyone to continue his spiritual work. In other words, people from my conversation, they would tell me, "Oh, I've been in this group, I've been in that group, here, and they cannot find themselves. They get answers to the questions anywhere. So in the end, they will come to Ishvara Puri Sandmat, and for some reason asking me these questions, maybe. So this is one of the conversations I had with someone initiated by Mr. Puri about the subject of that there is no Mr. Puri, there is no master, anything like that, a successor of Mr. Puri to do spiritual work. There are people who are doing administrative work, there are different organizations. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about Namdan. We're talking about the spiritual part, not the administrative part. When I was with Mr. Puri, I asked him about this. I said, I won't tell the name, who is who. I mean, so someone in top position organization, Mr. Puri will explain to me, well, he is this, but he's not the master. You probably can, those who knows many past years, they may know who I'm talking about. Now you have a new crew, so to speak, in all of these organizations. So let me answer this question to you indirectly as I can. Mr. Puri made preparations for that. This is, I'm saying this on the record. Mr. Puri made preparations for his spiritual part. To continue, for the spiritual part of, how should I say, his mission. So let me make this, because it's been already a year and a half, almost. I waited, originally I said, well, let's wait a year. Let's wait a year, because sometimes when master passes away, I'm generally speaking, when there's let's say there's a bandara, in this case, Mr. Puri's bandara, like, last year, December, this is the time when things usually wraps up. In other words, during the year, many people will make all these different claims, but sometimes during the year of the Bandara, the day of the Bandara, there may be someone else coming up with some another claim. So it's been 5 or so months after that. The point I'm trying to make, the perfect living master, Mr. Puri, to me, was a perfect living master and is perfect living master, and he proved it to me. Beyond any doubt, my mind cannot come up with the question or doubt him. I cannot come up with the stuff how to even doubt him, because he proved it to me beyond 100% that he is the master, perfectly the master. But I know there are people who do have doubts, and I spoke to them personally, so I'm not making this up. Perfect living master, let me explain. They also have the karma. And part of the karma, so to speak, looking from that point of view, karma, it's to reveal themselves. In fact, the role of the perfect living master is perfect master have to reveal true to you, to each of you, but he also has to reveal the true, which deals specifically what next. So what is going to happen after master leaves his physical form? This is part of his karma. And as far as I understand, I came to this understanding quite a few long ago, is that master cannot leave his physical form until this is done. In other words, generally speaking, master has to reveal the truth to the disciple. Let's call it disciple. And unless this is done, he is not the perfect living master. So so when people, when someone making the claim that Mr. Puri didn't do that, they're making claim kind of that he wasn't a perfect living master. This is like saying to Mr. Puri, you are not the master. You are not the perfect living master. Now, the reason for that could be just ignorance of someone speaking. There could be other reasons. Let's say Mr. Puri never appointed no one. In that sense, anybody can appoint themselves using that argument. So someone may say, Mr. Puri didn't make these preparations, but look, I am very special. Why don't you listen to me? So there's a huge field to manipulate. So let me get this on the record. Like I said, Mr. Puri made those preparations. Anyone who says he did not, they make a false claim. Let me repeat that. They make a false claim. They speaking against the master. And let me explain something else. If you're familiar with Kirpal Sin writings, anything like that is multiplied by 100,000 times. So we have to be very careful what we say. I have to be very careful what I say. Because it's my spiritual life online. But the reason I'm saying that is because there's too many misunderstandings. There's too much confusion. And the confusion usually causes people to divide. And let's say you have an organization, and organization will start splitting itself into little pieces or groups, different countries and so forth. And the major reason for that is there is no one to hold that together. And the only person who can hold that together is the perfect living master. So you might have an organization. I'm not speaking to specifically about anyone, an organization or anyone here, unless there's a master in that organization, I mean, a real master, someone who operates from Sattva, from Sachkhand. Swamiji of Agra explained that. What that really is, what is really happening. It becomes the religion, usually becomes the religion when that happens. And like any religion, if you look at the history of religions or any parts, even the spiritual parts and different yoga system and so forth, it usually creates the frictions. People are fighting about this, about that, who is right, who is wrong, who should be there, who should not be there, and anything like that. There's no one to check on that. The other problem is that the Moj, I explained that in last satsang, the Moj, when Master is alive, let's speak, and this is Mr. Puri was alive. That was his Moj. Do this, and do that. And where Master leaves, now generally speaking, the Moj is always carried in that sense by the next Master. Just like Master in Bias has his Moj. It's his Moj in the sense to instruct or guide the Sun God. We spoke about Rajendra Sen before. Raj was speaking about now that there's another Sangha, another group, so to speak, and he's in charge of that. Now that the source is the same. Raj was correct. I totally agree with Raj, what she says. The source is always the same. We all brothers and sisters. But because there's so many different organizations, even Kirpal Singh had to leave Bias. Those who know the story, and Rohani Satsang and all the rest, Kirpa Mission. So in the core, we all brothers and sisters, but sometimes we belong to here or there. And usually, when you do not have a real master guiding the group, these personalities just pop out, and people, all the rest. So I prepare some materials here. I'm taking a little bit different approach from last satsang. And that is that the story of someone who went into the forest and was speaking, the story of this teacher, let's call it teacher or guru, and went to the forest and was preaching to the trees, in that sense, because there was no one to listen. And those who listen, like some animals, and they couldn't understand the word he was saying. They was just hearing sounds. So this guru came to conclusion, kind of, there's got to be better way to reach someone. So one of the ways is to leave the forest and go into a village and start preaching to people the language they can understand. But the people were not interested. That's why the guru went to the forest, because no one in the village, town square, want to hear single word. So what's the other option? Start speaking in a language the forest colored people can understand, because they were eager to understand. They just couldn't comprehend the language. So instead of the Cezary saying this or Cezary saying that, for a few satsang, last satsang and this satsang, I'm taking a little bit different approach. And one of the reasons for this approach is because these are very, very, very serious subjects. And there's so much misunderstanding, at least from where I hear what everybody else is saying, that there's gotta be common ground. And I don't want to be that common ground, because then I'm going to be accused, well, what are you talking about? Where are you getting this stuff? So to me, that common ground, it will be the words of my master, Master Puri, and the words of the great master. Because as many as you know, some of you know, that Mr. Puri specifically said that the words of great master, Hazur Baba Saban Singh, they are still, even in the present time, after so much time, they still apply. This is Mr. Puri speaking about that the words of the great master still apply today. Even he died in 1948, the 2nd of April. Been a long time. But because of this Namdan flowing from Swami Jivavagra to Jomasen, to the great master, and to Mr. Puri, and to whoever is doing it. And this is the end. It will be the end in that sense. As the great master explained, it usually takes five generations, so to speak. And is this written in stone? Nothing is written in stone in that sense. So I would like to read this, the words of the great master and the words of Mr. Puri. And I will make a comment. The comment is from the point of view as I understand, and as I was taught by Mr. Puri and Sobo. But generally, who am I to comment on great master words? So if I try to explain something, this is just my understanding, my explanation, how I understand that. I'm not speaking here for these are self-explanatory words, by the way. There's no comment really, but there's a few items I probably need to share with you. So those who wants to stay, let's see what time it is. It's 8 o'clock, so we've been 2 hours. No?
Yes.
Those who would like to stay, I need to take 5. I apologize for taking breaks, but No? 5 minutes, yeah. I'm just getting old. So let's take 5 minutes, and those who wants to stay, and unless someone has a different question, they can come up with the question. But other than that, this will take probably half to 1 hour. Realistically, 1 hour. I have a lot of material here because before the satsang, I get this all download. So maybe I can be just doing something, sitting, and then I get the download from the master in that sense. So, and I try to write this down when it happens. Just for the future. So I have some of these, and then if I get a download for the answers, I'm trying to take myself out of this. In fact, let me explain something. I do not take any credit for anything I do. All the credit, if there's any information, anything, any benefit to attending the satsang or anything like that, all the credit goes to my master. I'm just doing this because I'm very grateful for the opportunity he gave me personally. And this opportunity was specifically expressed. In person, in words, and in handwriting of the master. So I don't have an issue, where do I belong? As far as what I do, what kind of seva should I do or not to do? I'm just, I have a specific instruction from the master. And I'm trying to follow those instructions as best as I can until I die. In that sense, until my time comes. Also, Grace has her instructions from the master. You want to share some? No, she doesn't want to share anything. So, Grace, so I will respect that. I have to respect that, otherwise I'm in trouble with my wife. I ain't worth it. Nothing is worth it that. And those who are married, you know how that goes. You think you're a boss, but the wife is a boss. Always. I mean, I seen it. When I was with the master, I mean, I know these things too, not just from my own experience. So let's take a 5, and this has to do with me, not with anyone. Whoever is going to stay. I'm just going to go through some of this, which has to do with initiation. What is the Great Master Initiation? What that really is, the Great Master Initiation, because Mr. Puri was the one who said, you know, this is the Great Master Initiation. There are many gurus who would just say initiation. So I try to explain that, what that really means, and for those who receive that initiation. Thank you for your patience.